Welcome to another episode, guys. Holy hell. StreamYard went through a number of updates within the last 2 hours. It's finally working. In the comment section, if you guys can tell me, you guys can see me, can hear me. Make sure you can tell me if you can hear me or not. It's gone through like 6 updates in the last 2 hours. So if you guys in the comment section could please let me know if you hear me or not, that would be great. Let me see here. I know, Adam. I see you guys, man. All good, JJ. Thank you, Russ. All right, guys. There's a big one today. It's a big one. Frank Signetti Jr. fired today. This is well known. For me personally, guys, I've been trying to tell you guys this for weeks. It was announced this morning. The players were there. Daily meetings. This was a decision that had to come right now. I can tell you this, guys. I am excited to get into it. I think with Signetti, the news coming out today, I kind of thought it was going to come out tomorrow. I'm kind of shocked that when I was told about it today, they said, hey, go ahead. And usually I always wait for 2 or 3 sources. And again, I got sent a lot of DMs today about there was a thread about me in Panther Lair. There were people talking about me on Panther Lair and DMs. I mean, it was wild. Guys, when I release stuff, it's because I get 2 or 3 sources. It's usually guys on the team, coaches in the building, or especially sources just connected to the Pitt football team. So I never release anything unless I have 2 or 3 because I don't go out there and spread just certain stuff. I just don't do it. It's just not how I am. It's not what I do. So, guys, as always, we can get it on here. Let me see here. Perfect. Banners brand. All right, guys, let's get the countdown going. Again, let's talk about some offensive coordinators that I've heard about. Get the countdown going. Again, guys, welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. Guys, again, a big number of topics. Like I said, offensive coordinator, what potential changes or else are going to be coming to the team. But before we get into it, guys, got to give a shout out to the sponsor of our show here. Let me see here if I can get it on the screen. Colonial Beer. Located at 4986 Library Road, Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Guys, this is a great place. Honestly, in terms of the selection they have there, I know I always show you guys the fake slide today. Had to get something different from there. Had to get the White Claws from there. Went with something different this time. Also have some fake slides in the fridge here. Again, run by Pittmen, really good Pittmen that I've known, especially one of them for since I was a young man, especially a young kid. Guys, Colonial Beer is a great place where you get all your products. Plenty of selection. I mean, anybody has seen the pictures that I've tweeted out. It's a massive place. Anything with parties, anything with helping your needs in terms of getting ready for game day. Steelers are obviously going to be still playing. I know the Pitt season's over, but still always good to support the players. But more importantly, when you buy the fake slide from the Colonial Beer in Bethel Park, it supports Alliance 412, which is the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. Again, guys, go to Colonial Beer. Great guys. It's a Pitt-run business, the best of the best. I've met them both. I know them both. They are the best of the best. Lucky for them. Thank you again for them for supporting the channel, but more importantly, the show, and being able to really just support Pitt. But more importantly, talk about our Pitt Panthers, even when it's tough right now, especially as we end the season 3-9. But before we get into it, guys, and I know, again, I appreciate every one of you guys being so gracious in terms of being patient. Again, numerous updates from StreamYard today. It took about 2 hours just to get to this point. So, again, I appreciate everyone's patience. I know the comments have been packing in here. Good Lord, there's plenty of them. Let me see here. Wow, there's a lot going on here. Woo! It's over 50. Wow. All right, guys, but first thing I wanted to talk about, again, Pitt ends the season against Duke, which is crazy. Mike Elko actually goes in another direction. Officially, Texas A&M, from what I saw yesterday, it looked like they wanted to go with Mark Stoops, but the complete fan base just utterly revolted, went the other direction. Now today they're saying Mike Elko has accepted the position. Everything that I have seen has been correct in that term. I think it's a great hire for Texas A&M. That's a tough blow to Duke. That's a tough one for them. I think Duke's a good program. I think what Mike Elko has been able to do there, especially with Kevin Johns as an offensive coordinator, he's done a really good job there. I think when you look at it from different perspectives, man, that's a tough blow for Duke because it's a tough place to win. But when you're able to get the right guys in there with the right coaches and develop talent, it's the only thing that matters. And I feel for Duke fans. I've reached out to a couple that I've known that are alums there, especially from here in Mount Lebanon. Just tough. Really feel for them. But Texas A&M's getting a good one, man. He's a good guy, really good guy, high character, but extremely good in coaching and developing talent. But as for Pitt, it's a tough one. 3-9, guys. Never in a million years. I might have had 9-3, but not 3-9. A young football team, a lackluster play calling, lackluster offensive display. I think in the recent game, obviously this past week, one of the things I was a little disappointed in was tackling. I thought tackling was really horrific this past week. I thought that was really tough to watch. But it kind of just goes hand in hand with this season, man. One of the bright spots, obviously, I think Christian Veyer is a guy that can continue to be developed. But, man, I have been saying that Nate Yarnell is a guy that can continue to develop as well. He's had just back-to-back games this year where, he's played really, really well. Obviously didn't get the win this past weekend. His career record, falls to 2-1, I think, overall. Just a good player, really good young man, to say the least. The team is completely behind him, completely behind Christian. That'll be a fun battle as the spring comes aboard. But overall, guys, this is going to be a really fun topic tonight. I know we're going to get into it here, and I've got all the names here that I talked about, that I tweeted earlier about the offensive coordinators that potentially Pitt's going to be looking at, and guys that I know that would be really interested. Again, but I'm going to get into some of the comments here, guys. I know because you guys have been waiting. Let's see, Mark, what is your sense on timing of announcing a new OC? Guys, I think Pat Narduzzi at this point is going to go through a number of different guys he's going to interview. And again, I just dropped 7 names that I know, and from different guys that I know would be interested, but more importantly, guys that have reached out. And I tweeted it out because, one, I wanted to put it out there because I do know certain guys that have reached out. I'm not going to tell you which ones have reached out. It's not fair to them or the program. But I can tell you this, it was kind of funny. A West Virginia fan, quote tweeted my tweet and said, "Oh, well, it's a Power 5 job. Everyone's going to be excited to get a job in the Power 5. Well, West Virginia is a team that went and got a lackluster OC a couple of years ago. I know he left USC, went to West Virginia. Wasn't a good hire. They had another losing season again. It's just one of those things when you look at it, you're a Power 5 job. You would think you're going to get a lot of guys who are really interested in the position. But guess what? That's just not how things work sometimes. If I can get this out of the way here, some more comments here. But in terms of a timeline, guys, I really don't think you're going to see anything probably for at least 2 weeks. At least he's going to go through a bunch of interviews. They were in meetings today. I think it's not done. Also, I know there's probably going to be a question here about who else is going to be let go or parting of ways. Guys, I truly do believe, and I think he's a great guy. But from what I've been told, Borley is going to be one of the guys that's going to be let go next. Offensive line coach. He's been here for numerous years. He turned Pitt around to the point where the offensive line was doing really well, developed a lot of guys. I think he recruited pretty well as the years went on. But here, these last 2 or 3 years, it's been a little tough. It's been a little tough back-to-back years. The 2021 season obviously was really, really good. But 2022 and 2023 have not lived up to the standards of what Pitt's trying to achieve. I think Borley will be next. It's going to be tough for him. And there'll be a couple more. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Andre Powell move on. But from what I've been hearing, I think it's going to be pretty clear that Borley is going to be next. And I think personally, I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of the offensive coordinator position, because when a guy comes in, he's going to have a lot of say in terms of who's going to be coming on to the staff. One thing that I do know the players love, and the coaches outside of the building at Pitt, they love how Pat Narduzzi allows the coaches to have a lot of say in who they want on their staff, who they want to bring in. Does it fit who they want? Obviously, Frank Signetti brought in, really was an advocate for Tyquan Underwood, who they snagged from Rutgers. He's a guy that, I like Tyquan a lot. There's a lot of questions in the air from things that I've heard that he may not be back as well. Just when 3-9 happens, guys, there's a lot of change that comes that way. But let's see here, more comments here. Let's see, before the portal opens. Agree. Mark, agree. Best fit, important to accelerate the offense combined with as soon as possible for the portal reasons and retaining current players. One of the things, guys, I think that is very, very evident about this team is that when Narduzzi is going to make a hire, a lot of these guys are involved. That is one thing the players have actually liked. They've actually been able to meet these guys, meet the offensive coordinators. Obviously, the one with Frank Cignetti just didn't work out. Pitt still, even with the lackluster offense last year, Pitt was able to still go 9-4, won 20 games in 2 years, ranked back-to-back years. They beat UCLA at the end of the year, a top 16 team. That was huge. I'm hoping it's a lot quicker than what people think. I've had coaches reach out to me. They were in a meeting earlier today. Pat has reached out to a number of different guys. They've heard back from him. It's a huge list. And again, I'm going to go over certain guys today that I have on this list that I want to just show to you guys and why I have them on there, why they'd be really good, and why this list in general, anybody from this list, I would be extremely happy with. It would be a complete 180, or even 360 in terms of what we're doing here today. So let me see Adam here. Adam, appreciate everything you do here. I don't know how much the offense they are going to go after besides their line. Seems like a lot of portal ads will be on defense. I think there's going to be some portal ads on defense in terms of maybe cornerbacks, maybe interior defensive line, potentially one pass rusher. Depends on really who stays and who leaves. There are going to be some guys on the roster, guys, and that's another thing too. There are going to be certain guys that leave the team. Some might be starters, some might not be starters. But you have to understand some of these guys want to get more playing time. They're going to leave. But when it comes to the majority of the team, Alliance 412 is there for a reason, and they've done a really good job. I tell a number of people to get involved with Alliance 412 because it's a fact. You have to support Alliance 412 so we can be competitive in the market. There's obviously teams I've heard behind closed doors that have reached out to certain players, and it is what it is. And it's going to be a competitive offseason here, and it's going to be happening very quickly. That's why I tell people why Alliance 412 is so important. Syracuse right now, they're looking for a new head coach. At the end of the day, they don't have their NIL is horrible. The president really pushed out their only donor, and Adam Weitzman, who's a huge Syracuse guy, huge Syracuse supporter, and they pushed him from the NIL, which makes no sense to me. But that's why that job is so hard. There's a lot of resources at Pitt. There's a lot of things that make Pitt attractive. That's why people want to come here. That's why certain coaches want to come here. But it's important for the fan base, but also the mega donors that we have, which there are plenty. Why it's important to support Alliance 412 and being competitive in the market. It is what it is. Will, I get a sense that Borbs and Powell will likely announce their retirements after a letter of intent day. I think Underwood would be retained, and I'm not sure what will happen with Salem. Yeah, Will, I can tell you this. They need, and I want people to understand this because they're like, well, only one guy was let go today. It's just going to be no more guys let go. Guys, I'm just telling you, they stay on board because you need to go and visit. For instance, this whole next 2 weeks is going to be going to see your current class. By the way, Pitt currently has a top 30 class at this point, which is really, really good. I like a lot of the guys in this class. Cam Lindsey, obviously a hometown hero, 4-star linebacker from Aliquippa. That guy's going to be fighting for early playing time. He's done a hell of a job. He's still in the playoffs. Joel's running back from the central part of the state. He's going to be huge. Willis, 4-star running back out of New Jersey. He's going to be a huge addition. There's just so many guys in this class that I personally like, and they need a bunch of these guys to stay on right now to solidify the class. And when we get closer to early signing day, which is December 22nd or December 23rd, it's one or the other right now. I'm pretty sure it might actually be the 23rd. Well, after that, you'll probably see more and more guys probably be let go. Again, I think Borbs is going to retire. He's not going to come back next year. I think he's reached the age. He's ready for retirement, and we need more development there. I like our offensive line. You look at our offensive line right now, the amount of guys that are returning. Obviously, we lose Jake Cradle, a leader for the last 4 years, a starter for 4 years. Blake Zubovic will be gone. But you also get back Ryan Jacoby on the offensive line. You'll have Branson Taylor at left tackle. Branson Taylor and probably Ryan Bayer, honestly, are going to compete for that. for the left tackle position. But I think Branson being there right now at left tackle, he'll be there for another season. If worst case scenario, he leaves to the NFL, you have Ryan Bayer obviously moved to left tackle because Ryan Bayer is a stud too. I think he's going to be so good. He's got so much NFL potential. It's really good to have him on board. But from left tackle, it's going to be Branson Taylor. Left guard will be Ryan Jacoby. At center is probably going to be Terrence Moore. At right guard, that'll be a battle. I think B.J. Williams will solidify that spot. B.J. has come along as the season has gone on. Again, guys, a true freshman playing meaningful downs, getting the experience he needed this year is huge. And I think he's going to be a guy that battles. There'll be other guys that battle again. Terrence Enos, a guy who can play really guard and tackle. He's coming to tackle at certain points. He might be that sixth guy or that seventh guy. He's got a tremendous talent. But at right, and then obviously at right tackle, you're going to have Ryan Bayer, man. I just think that the talent that Ryan Bayer has, I think at this point, he may be the best offensive lineman on the team. He's got so much talent. Him and Branson Taylor are extremely powerful. Two big guys that, they have plenty of eligibility left. It's going to be fun to see them and see how they develop. It looks like it's probably going to be with a new offensive line coach, which sometimes, guys, hey, change isn't bad. And after a 3-9 season, sometimes you need that change. And that change comes at a good time right now where Pitt needs to get back on track. Let me see here. Well, my guess is Deuce is just as unhappy with Salem's tight end coaching as we are, but I think he values Salem's recruiting. Salem has hit a bunch of guys in terms of recruiting. Izzy Abanikanda, Kenny Pickett. There have been numerous of guys that he's brought on that he has personally recruited. I tweeted out today Tim Brewster, who was resigned from Colorado. They got a lot of stuff going on out there. Again, Sean Lewis is a candidate for the Pitt offensive coordinator job. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Sean Lewis and Tim Brewster come over here if Salem is let go. That's a guy you want to watch for. Tim Brewster is a major recruiter too. I mean, that guy has been in all over the SEC. He's got plenty of connections, a very high, volatile guy, has developed a lot of tight ends, especially in his time in the SEC, especially at Florida. He's developed a number of different guys at the tight end position, a guy you want to watch out for there. Sean Lewis, obviously, he's elite. And I think what they've done in terms of Colorado, what he was able to do with that horrendous offensive line, you saw they took play calling duties away from him. Coach Prime took him away from play calling duties. And immediately you notice Pat Shurmur took over. The team hasn't been able to score over 15, 16 points a game. Sean Lewis is extremely good and extremely talented when it comes to developing talent, but more importantly, building explosive offense through the run game, but especially through the pass game. When it comes to the passing game, the guy's elite in what he does, and I think he's done a good job at developing Shedeur Sanders this year too. So I would love to see him come on board at Pitt. Let me see. I think they need a DN and DT. Hardly any pressure from the D-line, unfortunately. Adam, I agree. I think you're going to see a bunch of guys from the defensive end position and the D tackle position as well. We'll see what guys they go after. Let me see here. Priorities, defensive end, defensive tackle, possibly tight end, depending upon what happens with Bardo. No more portal QBs. Yarnell is the guy. A legit stud QB isn't coming to Pitt. We have to take the development route. Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I think, right now, I would say if we're sitting here today, obviously Nate Yarnell would be the starter going into the season. But I wouldn't be, guys, I would not be shocked if a new offensive coordinator came in here, looked at the talent on the roster at the quarterback position and said, hey, I think Duggar's going to be really good. Julian Duggar, who is from the quarterback from Penn Hills, who's a part of this class, a tremendous athlete. I think he's going to be really good, and especially the year go by, he's a tremendous athlete. Develop him. He can be really good. Ty Diefenbach, a guy that's really good, huge guy, 6'5", got a hell of an arm, played wide receiver in high school. He's very agile for a guy that's 6'5". Same thing with Nate Yarnell. I still think you can develop Christian Veyer and Nate Yarnell. You're looking at guys that certainly have the talent and have really what you're looking for. I really like Nate Yarnell in terms of what he was able to provide, even when this crappy offense that we had this year. I mean, hell, we lost against Duke. We couldn't finish, but I can tell you this, he put up some good stats. But I would not be shocked if something would happen and said, hey, if there was a really good portal addition at quarterback and it makes sense to add them and bring them in for competition, I would not be shocked. I think at this point, Pitt needs to try to make sure they keep Nate Yarnell. Nate tried to leave last year. I think it had something to do with graduation. Didn't have enough credits to graduate and be a graduate transfer. He can certainly do that this year if he chooses so. That's a decision that obviously Pat Narduzzi will be talking to all the players, but there will be a select group that he's talking to this coming week, talking to the players. I think it's really from Monday through Wednesday they'll be talking to the players and meeting with them. That's the biggest thing. We'll see where they go and what kind of route they take, but you got to keep some of these guys. You have to keep them. And I think something, hey, there are going to be some guys they push and say, hey, you know what? If you're looking for more playing time, you need to leave the program, and we'll help you go somewhere else. But there are numerous guys on this team. Rodney Hammond, obviously, we'd like to see back. Gavin Bartholomew, we'd like to see back. Nate Yarnell, Kanate Mumfield. These guys that we need to hold on to, bring them back. They're good athletes. They're good players. They were just underutilized in this offense. What I expect from the next offensive coordinator is a guy that's going to be not like that 50-50 or the 1980, Bill Walsh offense. That stuff's done. Heather's very much involved in what's going on. Obviously, she's voiced her displeasure within that staff. That's why you're seeing what happened today. But then, the second quarter, we saw the official announcement. Obviously, I knew yesterday. I thought for sure it would come out tomorrow on a Monday, but they waited. They wanted to do it during the Steeler game. Less hype, kind of like sneaking it in. And when a couple players hit me up to say, "Hey, this is happening right now. You can go ahead and release it," because they're telling people already, go ahead and release it. I released it. So when a couple players reach out to me and say, "Hey, go out there and do it," I'm going to do it. So let me see here. Differ on Yarnell and QB. QBs today have to be dual threat like Drones, Castellanos, Williams, Leonard, Sanders, etc. That's not Yarnell. Byron, I think, when you look at Yarnell, I mean, again, Castellanos, but Castellanos has been okay. I mean, he's obviously very agile, can run, certainly, but his passing has not been great. I think he's actually got caught up at the end of the year. Obviously, they lost to Miami. They got crushed by them. They lost to us. I wasn't really happy with how he threw the football. Lacks the arm talent, but obviously, yes, he's able to move. But I think Nate Yarnell moves well enough. I think he's, very agile in that portion of it. Obviously, he's not as fast like a Kenny Pickett, but I wouldn't be upset if he was our starter going into next season. He's clearly extremely intelligent. I think Christian Vayer could potentially make those throws. Obviously, just got to cut down on the turnovers. But bringing somebody else in to help them develop is probably going to be the biggest thing going forward. Let me see. Andy. They need to retain Hammond and Bart. Yeah. I mean, those are two guys they have to retain. Those are two guys that I think that one, and that really, again, it frustrated me with Andre Powell. The running back rotation was horrific this year. Horrific. I know I like Sebo. He had a number of great games this year, but Hammond was clearly your best back. And you saw that towards the end of the season. Sebo won't be back next year. Derek Davis, I want to see him get more involved. Derek Davis will be here. You're going to see Willis, a four-star running back, come in. Jules Goff, he's going to be coming in. He's going to be he's a great running back, set all kinds of records within PA this year. The running back room is going to be deep. It's going to be good. But I'd like to see Hammond come back. He's a true pick guy. I truly don't see him going anywhere. If he does leave, it might go for the NFL draft. That's what he might go for. But we'll see exactly what he puts up with, what he does. But I would like to see him come back as well. But I want to see Derek Davis get more involved. He's a hell of an athlete, a big running back, hometown hero guy. I want to see him get more involved. And the running back rotation with Andre Powell was not good enough this year. Kevin Johns at Duke. He's available now since Elko's going to Texas A&M. Think he coached with dudes at MSU. Yeah, Byron. Yeah, he did. Honestly, I would add him to the list now. I think what Kevin Johns was able to do at Duke, with the talent they have, and personally with Riley Leonard, he really developed Riley Leonard. I like that. With the talent they have on the roster, me personally, I think Pitt has a lot of talent. And it's very clear on the roster and the guys that are reaching about this OC position and other position groups that they're looking for. And when they open up, it's very clear that Pitt has a lot of talent. You don't take an OC job just because it's an open job or it's a Power 5 job. You want to go somewhere where you have talent. There's clearly talent, whether it's Kanate Mumfield, Dejon Reynolds, Kenny Johnson, the young group. Kenny Johnson, another guy to make sure, stays here. I love what he's able to bring. I think he's an incredible athlete. I think he's an incredible wide receiver, the talent he's able to have there. I like him, to continue to develop. He's a future, man. He is a totally a number one guy. You see the flashes. And as a true freshman, which is very rare. It's very rare as a true freshman, especially at the wide receiver position, when you're able to make those type of plays and make those impact plays. Izzy Polka's still there. Lamar Seymour's still there. You got numerous guys in the wide receiver room, plus guys coming in this year. And I wouldn't be shocked if they think if they're going to lose a guy, they go into the portal to grab somebody else. So we'll see what exactly they do, but there's plenty of guys. Would be huge. Don't have the slightest clue at him. The guy from Colorado and Moorhead come to mind, but there are a lot of good options out there. Let's see. Kevin Johns would be a home run. I think Kevin Johns would be pretty good. I think Yarnell would fit Johns' offense. I do too. Let's see here. Wonder if he recruits. Need a guy that recruits, since none of these other OCs that dude had did that. I know that's a big thing. Whipple never recruited. And you look at the quarterbacks that Whipple brought in, man. I mean, Nate Yarnell is probably the only guy that really came in and actually had playing time. Joey Ellen was horrible. Trying to think who else he brought in. I mean, it was a bad overall experience. And then there were numerous years that we didn't. I mean, during Whipple, 2 to 3 years, 2 to 3 years, we didn't even take a quarterback from high school. We took a portal guy. Just not good enough. You can't do that. Shanahan pick guy at Liberty might be available. Yeah, Shanahan at James Madison, you mean. He's going to be available. We'll go over a bunch of names here. Let me see here. Washington State really sucks to be Oregon State and Washington State these days. Yeah, man. Washington State and Oregon State are going through a tough time, man. I hate to be them right now. Me personally, I would love the ACC to add them out there. You've got Cal and Stanford coming in. Adding those two teams are two ranked teams. I think they're really good programs, really strong fan bases. I would love to see them added and create a pod out there. And then their non-con games, they can work with the Mountain West or different other teams out in the LA area. It'd be kind of nice if they were able to do that. All right, there. We hear you. People are just morons, man. We trust you here. Don't let that bother you. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Yeah, again, I saw numerous comments, guys. I got to admit, I was laughing so hard. The amount of people that sent me crop photos from Panther Lair, because guys, I'm not on Panther Lair. I don't know what's said. And my DMs on Twitter were just lit up, and personal text messages too. Just like, hey, man, like, this is crazy. I can't believe it. There's like some of these guys, the majority of it was positive, which I really appreciate. Anybody speaking positively, I appreciate that. But obviously, you're going to have naysayers everywhere you go. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. It becomes part of the gig. All I know is this. If I don't have 2 or 3 sources, I'm not reporting it. And then I can only tell you what I know. Things are always evolving, especially guys that are coming, that are going, guys that are leaving, offensive coordinators. I've been telling you guys for weeks that there were going to be changes coming. And clearly those changes came. Let's see. A veteran OT would be awesome. Yes. A&M dodged a bullet backing off Stoops. Oh, my God, yeah. Elko's a 10 times better hire. Don't even know why it wasn't in the beginning in the first place. Same thing with Dabo. Dabo would have been a really good hire, too. What's your opinion of Coach Manilak? And what is his status in terms of turnover? Coach Manilak, I love him. Look at our recruiting classes. You got Cam Lindsey coming in. Marcelin. Guys, Marcelin from Florida. This kid is going to be a stud. David Bruton, going to be a stud. I love the development that they brought in. You look at the previous class from last year. You look at our linebacker class, Jordan Bass. He's another guy. Those are all Manilak guys. I saw, I think he's on Twitter, dreambackfield.com. He wants these like 6'7" linebackers. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of a 6'7" linebacker, like 280 pounds. I've never heard of that. I don't know where he gets that kind of stuff from. But I can tell you this. Manilak's doing a great job, and he's developing that room. Bengali Kamara continues to get better. Jordan Baska continued to get better. Kyle Lewis, another guy. Brandon George might be back next year. Just that room, man, I like it a lot. It's starting to fill out. Braylon Lovelace, another guy from the previous class last year. He saw a lot of time. Guys, dude, he's done a good job. He's done a really good job. I don't understand a lot of the negativity that comes from him. And it was kind of funny. I had a conversation with Carlos Zovko. He was even saying the slander online about Coach Manilak is just like mind-blowing. Like anybody. Talk to Johnny Patrician. Ask Johnny Patrician about how well Coach Manilak improved his game and elevated him to that next level, why he was so good in 21. Coach Manilak's a hell of a coach, man. He's done a good job. Let me see here. Do you think Hammond and Bart will be back? Andy, I'm going to be honest with you. I know this for a fact. There have been other teams that have reached out to them. I know that for a fact. All I know is that when you saw that $1 million the Alliance 412 $1 million goal for this month. It's so important to support that. I dished out $150 to Alliance 412 in terms of building for that $1 million mark. You got to contribute to that kind of stuff. That's why I do it, because you have to compete with NIL. If I had to guess, I do believe that both those guys will be back. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to keep Bartholomew. I know that. There are some big programs. Don't be shocked if like someone like a Georgia has reached out. I saw a lot of Georgia people were following Bartholomew. Look, all I can say is to Alliance 412 needs to pay these guys. But then again, we need to support them. The donors are there. We need to support them. The more people we have subscribed to Alliance 412, especially right now in the climate of college football, if you don't have strong NIL, you won't be competitive because the guys are going to end up leaving. Look, for instance, look at West Virginia. Each year they have numerous guys leave. They have a couple. They got some really good players on their team from this past year, like Jaheim White, the running back they have this year. I would not be shocked if Alabama reaches out to him to try to grab him. There's going to be numerous teams reaching out to all these schools all over the country. Biggest thing they can do, support Alliance 412 and then get these guys paid. That's all I can say at this point. Let me see here. Jim, my man Jim, I appreciate your support as always. How does PSU's OC vacancy impact OC poll candidates? I really don't think it really impacts it quite a bit at all. I really don't. The only guy that they may try to go back and try to snag again is Joe Moorhead, who I have on my list. And again, I'm going to go over here in 2 minutes. I'm going to go over these candidates. Potentially Joe Moorhead. But does Joe want to go back? That kind of stuff's involved. Obviously, one of his biggest things, and personally from things that I know, is being closer to home. I saw a lot of people say, I don't want Joe Moorhead. I think we can go get somebody better. Joe Moorhead turned down Texas A&M previous years. He's turned down Notre Dame. He took the Akron job because it's a head coaching position. It was his last shot, really, at a head coaching position. Obviously, in a dream scenario, Joe Moorhead would love the head coaching job at Pitt. I know that for a fact. But Joe wants to stay closer to home. And personally, I would love that hire. That would be a home run hire. And I'll go over a number of different guys here who would be home run hires for Pitt. And there are numerous ones, and they've reached out. I'm not going to say which ones, but they have reached out. Byron Fleck, assume you can retain only 3 players in the current roster. Mine, Kenny Johnson, Bayer, Bass. McMillan would be one. However, he's not going anywhere due to 2-time transfer rule. Yeah, Byron, easily your number 1 right now is Kenny Johnson. He's an extremely good playmaker on the outside. You want to develop that. You can go out and get a quarterback, or if Nate Yarnell's your guy. Clearly, Nate Yarnell can throw the football. I think Christian Bayer can continue to throw the football. Kenny Johnson is a staple going forward. He's tremendous. You want to keep him. Obviously, Ryan Bayer, stud. He's going to be here for at least 2 more years. He's an incredible football player, high character, a major pick guy. I don't see him going anywhere because he's just that great of an athlete, but more importantly, just a great young man to begin with. Comes from a great family, too. I don't see him going anywhere. And obviously, Bass. Jordan Bass will be there. Like you said, McMillan won't go anywhere because of the 2-time transfer rule. And, man, is he panned out. Look how well Donovan McMillan from Peters Township went to Florida. The Florida Gators came back. His dad was my defensive coordinator at Mount Lebanon. Hell, when I played, high school football, he's a tremendous coach. So he's a coach's son. Man, he has been a tremendous bright spot in terms of transfers of guys that came in and just lit it up. Hell, over the century mark, over 100 tackles. That guy's locked into a starting spot already. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. But guys, hey, before we start answering more questions, I'm going to go into different guys here that I believe that are major targets, guys that have reached out, guys that would be interested, and people that really Pitt should look out to and really who they should be involved with here. The first one, and again, this is no particular order, guys, I just know they need to reach out to. Let me see here if it pulls up again. Let me see here. First up, Joe Moorhead, Akron head coach. I like Joe. Obviously, one, he's a high character guy. Ask any of the players that played for him. They love Joe Moorhead. Okay, he's been successful at Fordham. The offenses were explosive. He goes to Penn State. Penn State won the Big Ten. Who was their offensive coordinator there in the last, Penn State's only won a Big Ten title in the last 20 years. Once? Who was their coordinator? Joe Moorhead. Joe Moorhead was their offensive coordinator. He did a tremendous job there. Went to Oregon. Did a really good job there as well as their offensive coordinator. Went to Mississippi State. I thought he didn't get enough time to begin with. Maybe there's not a culture fit, but I can tell you this: everyone down in Mississippi State loved him because Joe is a great guy, high character guy. Ask any of the players, they loved him. They love playing for him, and he knows how to distribute the ball. Passing game concepts that are extremely well, develops the quarterback, mixes in the running back. His run games have always been really good. He's been able to really maturate guys, extend them, being able to build them up, being able to get those guys opportunities. But when you look at the passing game concepts, man, he distributes the ball everywhere, whether it's on the outside, tight ends. The tight end usage by Joe Moorhead is huge. He develops talent, a guy that I think would be really, really good at Pitt. And I think, honestly, would be interested. He's at Akron right now as the head coach. People might say, why would he leave the head coaching job? It's Pitt. He's been a Pitt guy his whole life. And I think he would be a really good addition. It's close to home. I really hope he does consider it. I really think he would be a really good addition to what Pitt is able to do. Number 2, Sean Lewis. We talked about him. Obviously, he's the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at University of Colorado with Deion Sanders. Obviously got demoted this year. One of the guys, obviously, they brought up Pat Shurmur to call plays. Who Pat Shurmur obviously was a head coach in the National Football League, was an offensive coordinator in the National Football League. Their offense looks like crap right now. But I can tell you that Sean Lewis will not be back at Colorado because, one, that's just coaching malpractice to allow that guy not to call plays. Colorado won those games because of the offense they were developing. Colorado's defense was horrendous the entire year across the board. One of the worst defenses in college football. The fact that they were even able to go 4-8 is a major step in the right direction because of their offense. He's not going to be there next year. I don't like how, their offensive line play was horrendous. And what he was able to do with Shedeur Sanders, being able to help develop him was a huge, huge thing. That was number 1. But also to the points they were able to put up. TCU, Stanford, any of those teams that they were able to face, and they put up major points, especially two that you saw in the beginning of the year. And obviously, they beat Nebraska too. Nebraska's had a rough time. I think Matt Rule could turn them around eventually, but man, Nebraska's had a tough route. But hey, they put up a lot of points against them too, I guess, especially in the Big Ten. They've been putting up big points all year. So Sean Lewis, a guy that would be big. And also too, Sean Lewis came, I would really ask the question, what are the chances that Tim Brewster, the former tight end coach at Colorado, what are the chances he comes on board at Pitt? That's another question that I'm starting to see if there's any dots there. I've reached out to a number of different people. What are the odds that would possibly happen? What are the odds if he comes on board? Does he have a lot of say on who in terms of who else will be there? Pat Narduzzi has usually allowed his coordinators, when there's an open position, to really hire guys, has a lot of input to who gets those jobs. Sean Lewis and Tim Brewster coming here. I can tell you this. Sean Lewis has an incredible offense, but man, Tim Brewster develops tight ends, and has really established himself as a great recruiter, especially when he's been at Florida, anywhere in the SEC. He's done an incredible job at all those places. The next candidate I have is Mike Shanahan, the James Madison University offensive coordinator and tight end coach. This is a kind of a little bit of a wrinkle in terms of what this could potentially look like. I think, personally, I think Mike can coach a number of different positions. But I can tell you this, if he came here, they would probably need to hire a quarterback coach. Right now at James Madison, Tino Sinceri is the quarterback coach. He's done a good job, man. You look at the teams that they've been able to play. I feel bad for James Madison fans. They should be eligible to be ranked this year. They should be eligible to go to a bowl game. That kind of stuff's on the waiver wire in terms of if they're able to or not. I saw last week, obviously, it says that the NCAA denied their plea to become bowl eligible. I think if you're a college football team going from a lower division to a higher division, I don't know how you're excluded from going to a bowl game. If anything, it's harder. Why would you crush them for doing that? To this day, I don't. Kurt Cignetti is obviously the head football coach at James Madison, which is the brother of Frank Cignetti Jr. Their offenses are completely different. Their philosophies are completely different. I can tell you that for a fact. That's why they really don't get along in terms of what they do offensively. But Mike Shanahan, this would be another home run. And the guys that I've mentioned here, Joe Moorhead, Sean Lewis, Mike Shanahan, go look at how many points they're putting up this year. Just look at the points. These would be home run hires for Pitt. And I think that would utilize the talent of Kenny Johnson, Kanate Mumfield. If Bub Means returns, I'm not sure if Bub's going to come back or not. It sounds like he's kind of leaning towards the NFL, which means they might go out and get a portal addition for the wide receiver room. Dejon Reynolds, I like what Dejon Reynolds is able to bring. I like how he's really physical in terms of traffic. He's able to bring the football in, be really aggressive to go up towards the football. I just think that you look at overall the Pitt team. There's a lot of talent, and the fact that a lot of these guys, and there's some guys I'm not going to have on this list that have reached out about potentially coming in for an interview, tells you Pitt has a lot of talent. And I just think it's just crazy this year how it ended up because of the offense was just never utilized. It's just this blatant offense, the Bill Walsh West Coast offense about timing routes. If your offense is too hard to learn for the players where they can't get lined up, there's constant flags, you have a problem. You know, the scheme should be easy for these players to learn, so you're playing at a fast pace. You're not thinking as much. Once a player starts to think too much, they're not playing at a fast pace. You're not being able to really develop your talent and really use all your attributes that you need. Pitt has talent. It's very clear. And from the coaches that I've talked to, there's certain teams out there that they know who through the grapevine that why there's certain players, whether it's Gavin, Rodney Hammond, certain guys out there on our team, Kenny Johnson, that there's potentially going to be other teams trying to grab them. There's a reason why. They're very talented. I can tell you this for a fact. These guys, these three, for 100% fact, would definitely utilize this team, and especially bringing in certain talent that they need to bring in. It would be 100% a fact these guys would be home run hires. This is a name that I am absolutely would call this a home run hire. Seth Luttrell, who right now is at the University of Oklahoma as an analyst. He's obviously well known at the University of North Texas. His offenses were remarkable. I mean, over like 40 points a game, distribute the football, being able to run the football. The passing concepts were great. One of these days, I might actually have a video where I show all the route trees. It's honestly incredible. The guy, for how everything panned out at North Texas was just ridiculous. They should have never gotten rid of him to begin with. Absolutely just blown away by that and why that should have never happened. This guy's offense is incredible. Tremendous guy. He's younger. He's able to bring the innovation to the offense. If you get the chance, look him up, Seth Luttrell. He's a guy that would be a home run hire. He's done a really good job of developing talent. Quite a bit of a recruiter. He knows what kind of guys he needs, whether it's speed, size. He wants guys that are agile, guys that are willing to learn, but more importantly, developing the overall talent in the room when you collectively put these guys together. It's important that you get guys like these guys on this list who are very innovative. You look at different concepts, man, when you're able to get a college coordinator who is, and I've always said this, and as an offensive coordinator, calling a game is an art. Not every coach can do it, and certainly not former players. And some former players that come to coaching and go to be coordinators cannot do it. Being a coordinator is an art. You have to know what you're doing. It's truly a talent to be able to call a game. You're constantly adjusting to what the defense is doing. You're looking at different concepts. You're looking at different mismatches, matchups, how you put your tight end, especially too, if you're going in terms of what Pitt was able to do this year, going 11 personnel. If you got three wide, one tight end, one running back, that stuff is so important to what this offense is able to do. Seth Luttrell would be one of those guys I would love to see here. Oh my God, would that be a home run hire? That would be tremendous. He's a hardcore guy. He coaches really well, and he's tough on the players. But they develop that relationship. That way he can coach them hard as well. This is a name that was kind of brought to my attention. I'm not going to tell you who reached out to who or what's going on, but Brian McClendon, Georgia wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator. He's actually been a coordinator in the past at South Carolina. I think it's been South Carolina and Florida. He's had numerous different stops. Obviously, he is an elite recruiter. This guy develops talent, the wide receiver rooms, how he recruits. Oregon, when he was up there with Mario Cristobal, was incredible what he did up there, bringing certain wide receivers in there, the amount of talent they were able to bring in. Then he goes to Georgia. Obviously, these are two great places. It's not really hard to bring in those talent, but when you're fighting these other schools to get this talent, that's where you're looking at it. And there's plenty of relationships that these guys have. Brian McClendon would be a huge home run hire. I think, what he was able to do. He's been at Georgia beforehand, too. I think when actually Mark Richt was there, he took over as the interim head coach and won the bowl game. I just think this guy is an up-and-coming guy. Tremendous attributes in terms of recruiting, development, and his schematics. He's been really, really good. Especially too when you're able to grab an SEC guy, how they coach, how they develop, it's just a different world. I think that this guy would be a tremendous home run hire. The Kirby Smart tree, you look at, Kirby Smart, his coaching tree is incredible. I mean, look at Dan Lanning, where he's gone. The previous offensive coordinator, Georgia, I'm drawing a blank. Todd, I can't remember his last name. But he was a major guy that I looked at and said, man, he's now with the Baltimore Ravens. The coaching tree is incredible. Looking at some of the comments here. Assume you retain 3 players. Yeah. Being a coordinator is an art. Who do you think of the quarterbacks is going to be next year? Okay. I'll get to some of these questions, guys. I know you guys are starting to bottle it up a little bit, but we'll get there. Brian McClendon would be certainly a really good coordinator. I like what he's able to do. And again, recruiting and developing talent. He's actually recruited some of the guys coming out of high school. Oh, yes. Thank you, Mark. Todd Monken. Thank you. Todd Monken. Brian McClendon actually recruited some players on the current team that Pitt has. One of them is Dejon Reynolds. He recruited him out of high school to come to Oregon, I believe it was, while he was there. Oregon, it makes sense. That was huge. The guy's well-known, and the players love him. I can tell you that for a fact. Another name on this list, you guys will know this name, Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver coach, Chris Beatty. Chris Beatty was obviously here in terms of a wide receiver coach, recruited Rodney Hammond, recruited Jordan Addison. Obviously, 2 guys, Jordan Addison, went on to be, won a Blanknikoff Award here at Pitt, went on to be a first-round draft pick, by the Minnesota Vikings. USC can claim what they want. We developed him. Beyond thankful for what Jordan did in terms of, bringing home a ACC title and that magical season we had in 2021. Obviously Kenny Pickett had something to do with that too, with how he was able to sling the ball. But Chris Beatty has been well known for recruiting, really well known for recruiting. He was a major high-level high school football coach in terms of Virginia. He's got great connections between the DMV, Virginia, the Carolinas. He's done a tremendous job anywhere he's gone in college football. He's been 100% a home run in terms of recruiting. Bringing him back would be a great job in terms of recruiting. Also, too, I do know the last time we were looking for a coordinator, he was definitely 100% involved in terms of being interested. I believe he's still interested now today because he wants to have an offensive coordinator position. He went to the NFL. Obviously, it's the NFL, but to see if you can coach there and develop talent. The Chargers have also said he has developed numerous wide receivers in the NFL, which has been a huge attribute to Chris Beatty and what he's able to do. But anybody that I've ever talked to, and I've asked about Chris Beatty, hey, a lot of guys are asking about Chris Beatty trying to be an offensive coordinator. I've talked to numerous coaches and players. The first thing they always say is that really this guy has a really good offense. He's been a really good offense in terms of what he's been able to bring at numerous different stops. He's coached at West Virginia. He's coached at Maryland. All these places that he's been to, he's had a lot of say in terms of the offense and being able to bring in different concepts, especially through the passing game. Anybody I've ever talked to, coaches and players, have told me that he would be a good offensive coordinator. So he doesn't have the offensive coordinator position, or he has not been the sole offensive coordinator. He's had the co-offensive coordinator position at Maryland. He's had that experience there. Anybody I've talked to, and again, it's just all I can do is reach out to different coaches, different contacts that I know around the country and ask these questions about, hey, why does this make sense? Why does this not make sense? Why am I hearing this from different players? Is this true? Is this not? They've all said Chris Beatty would be a great offensive coordinator. So I have him on this list because I know he's interested. He was interested last time. He's interested this time. Lastly, Dino Babers, the former Syracuse head football coach. Guys, I think one of the things that he was able to do, and I understand 6-6 or 7-5. He had one good season where he won 10 games. The level of talent at Syracuse is not high. That's why I was really mad about us losing to Syracuse this year. Now, obviously, Syracuse ran a completely different offense that we've never seen in terms of what they were able to do this year. It was completely different. Obviously, Dino Babers was tired of losing to Pat Narduzzi and Pitt. Obviously at Pitt, he had what? He won one time in, I guess now 2 times in 9 years. But going into that game was 1 time in 9 years, and it was like the year he beat Pitt was at the Carrier Dome when Kenny Pickett was thrust in that last play. Max Brown was our quarterback. That was a whole mess of a year, but that's the only time they beat us before this year. But Dino Babers, man, he's been well known across the country for a guy that runs high potent offenses. Just give him a little bit of talent. I just think at Syracuse, it was really hard to build that talent because the NIL situation there is so bad. And again, guys, I tell you guys so much that the NIL portion of this, you got to support Alliance 412. That's why I do it. I'm not going to tell you what to donate or how much to donate, all that kind of stuff. Everyone's situation is different. You can always make up your own minds or your own choices. But why for me personally, I do the 1976 per month. I like doing it because it's the last time we won a national title. But two, I think it's really good just to start there. I'll probably the beginning of this year, I'm going to bump it up to that the $40 one, $40 and some change. I have to look up at the different modules and the different subscriptions that they have. But I'll probably bump it up towards the end of this year or probably in the beginning of this year, just because my financial situation is getting better. It's different. It's getting better and better. And just I'm able to just be able to make those ranges where I'm able to say, hey, I'll maybe per month instead of $40 instead of going out to dinner or taking people out to dinner, I won't go. I'll take two different meals. You know what I mean? Or maybe I just don't buy lunch at work or whatever. That's just how I think about it. And I love to support Pitt. That's why I do it. But those are my candidates, guys. Who I want to hear from some of you guys before I get into more of the topics. Who are some offensive coordinators that you guys think that maybe I didn't mention in here? Who are people that you want to see become? I know obviously that the offensive coordinator, obviously Kevin Johns would be another name on this list. You look at the overall talent that he had at Duke and what he was able to do. He developed Riley Leonard really well. Riley Leonard's obviously he got hurt this year. If Riley Leonard doesn't get hurt, I think Duke might have 9 or 10 wins this year. That's how good of a team that they were able to be. And just they're fundamentally sound. They don't make dumb mistakes. They don't have dumb penalties. They're very well disciplined. That's just a Mike Elko football team. This is why Texas A&M got a home run hire with Mike Elko. But let me see here if I can look up the Duke offense and see what they're ranked. This will be interesting to see. Total team stats 2023 college football season. As you can imagine here, LSU, Georgia. Actually, I might be able to share my screen here with you guys. That'd be pretty cool if I was able to do that. Let me see here. Let me see. If it works here. Well, we're going to see if it does work. It'd be kind of nice to actually show you guys this stuff. College football offenses. All right, here we go. Beautiful. It worked. Okay. So when you're going through this list, there's a number of different, obviously, high-powered offenses that you're going to see here. Obviously, LSU's at number 1. They're having a hell of a year. North Carolina's up there. But if we go down and try to find Duke here, obviously West Virginia, you see obviously Miami, Louisville, West Virginia. The Florida State Seminoles are down here. They're tied for 12 games played. Wow, Alabama's down here too, the Florida Gators. But you see, look at these numbers. 4,868 with the Clemson Tigers, 4,800. Look how close these numbers are. So it just tells you how close these numbers are. Penn State's all the way down here at 4,600 total yards. I don't think I missed Duke yet. Yeah, here's the Duke Blue Devils. They had 41, almost 4,200 yards, averaging 346 yards. Is it 346 per game? Let's see here, yards per game. Yeah. But overall, 4,200, that's only, it's a couple thousand behind like an LSU and whatnot. But with the talent he's able to provide there, I mean, you look at that overall, that's a really good sample size. I think that looks really good. UCF, you have up there, man. SMU's up there too. The USC Trojans, there are a number of different teams up there. Stop sharing that now. Let's see. I'd like to hear from you guys here. Yeah, let me know, guys. Who do you think this should be the offensive coordinator? Oh, Anthony. Okay. Any concern about Shanahan's potential as an OC against Power 5 programs, considering the past 2 seasons JMU's most significant win and only winning as a Power 5 program came against UVA. Look, there's always a concern about every coordinator. But here's my thing. When you put up that amount of points per year, I think I can pull that back up here, JMU. Where's JMU at? James Madison. Where are they at? How many yards? I had to have missed them here. James Madison, where are you at? UNLV's up there. Obviously, Brendan Marion had a really good year, but obviously you look at the teams that they're facing, it's the same thing. Let's see here. JMU. I wouldn't be shocked they don't have them on here because they're not being able to be ranked. That's unreal. Yeah, they're not on there. But overall, to say that I'm concerned, I don't really know if I am concerned about that because one, if your offense works, it's kind of the same thing. Look at what Joe Moorhead was able to do in terms of when you look at Fordham. He goes from Fordham to Penn State. Penn State had, I think his name was Billy Donovan or Brian Donovan, who was the offensive coordinator for 3 years, the first 3 years under James Franklin. Penn State's offense was absolutely horrendous. You take Joe Moorhead's concepts, bring them where he had success at Fordham. People all over the country had concerns about him going from Fordham to Penn State. Is his concepts going to work? And his concepts were incredible. They exploded. I mean, hell, the first year, obviously that's the year on 2016. 2016, obviously, yeah, Pitt beat Penn State that year. But look at the amount of points they put up that year. His concepts, if your concepts work, your concepts work. If you know how to develop talent and you know how to utilize matchups in college football, you're going to be successful no matter where you coach. I think it's one of the things that I've been taught by numerous different offensive coordinators or different coaches in the league, whether offense or defense. A lot of my contacts are on defense. The first thing they say, if you can have matchups and understand the different matchup sizes and where to put players, training them to work outside and inside. And if you're able to line them up in different portions, where Mark Whipple was really good at that with being able to move around Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison was really good being able to go outside and inside. One of the things he was able to do, put him in good matchups, you got great results. If you're able to utilize matchups, you can do anything you want in college football. That's a fact. For me personally, I'm not concerned. I've watched some of these games. I've watched the points they put up. I watched the concepts, the route trees when the all 11. I've watched the all 11, so they've been kind of nice to deliver that kind of stuff to people behind the scenes. It's just really good. I just think he'd be really good. That's actually a great question, Anthony. But no, I'm not concerned at all, to be quite honest with you. I think there's a lot of good what Mike Shanahan's able to do. The question that I have just at this point is if you make that hire, if he does, is he going to coach tight ends? Because then that means Tim Salem's gone. If he doesn't have Coach Tim Salem, say you keep Salem. Do you move Salem to a different position if he stays? Or does Mike Shanahan coach a different position? Because I know he certainly can. And then quarterback coach. You got to hire a new quarterback coach. I know Derek Moy's there right now. He's done a good job developing Yarnell. This is his first year on the staff. He's worked with them one-on-one. Obviously, Jonathan DiBiase was really, really good in his time here at Pitt. Really connected with a lot of the quarterback recruits. He talked a lot about different guys, and then especially developing. Jonathan DiBiase was really good. He's up at Boston College now. We'll see if they reach out back to him to bring him back to Pitt, or is it Tino Sinceri? Obviously, if Mike Shanahan feels comfortable with Tino Sinceri, maybe you bring him too. So we'll see exactly what they do. My man, Jason Watkins, what's up, brother? Obviously, the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason Watkins. Guys, if you have not followed him yet, give him a follow. He's incredible for what he does. Covers Oklahoma, the Big 12, the SEC. Obviously, Oklahoma going from the Big 12 to the SEC. Another 10-win year. Again, Jason is one of the best. I joined his show, as a lot of you know who follow me on here and subscribe to the channel, which I'm beyond thankful for. I joined his show because he delivers incredible content because it's factual. He's a great person. He brings Coach on there, Coach Phillip. Just tremendous. Two great guys that run that program over there. And obviously, too, just the amount of content he brings out that just incredible information. So if you have not followed the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Give him a follow. That's him right there. He's on Twitter. Give him a follow. He's incredible. Let's see here. What's up? What's up with the Pitt fam? Dude, we got an offensive coordinator search. We are in search of an offensive coordinator. Drop some names tonight. I know we'll one of these nights. I've just had a crazy time with work and stuff going on in my personal life that I'll be able to jump on the show and we'll talk about it and talk about Oklahoma. Big stuff going on with them. But it's good. You're too kind. No, you're my man, brother. You're my man. And JJ's the man. Again, Jason, I appreciate it, brother. You're the best. Don't we need to have OC and other position coaches in place immediately or by next Saturday? Portal opens. Byron, here's my suggestion on it. You're going to have the biggest thing you can do right now is one, there's a lot of conversations going on behind the scenes. The players know there's movement coming. Okay. One of the things that I think that they know is that when there's a hire being made, the position room is going to be involved with it. And now, do they make the decision on who gets hired and who doesn't? No. Narduzzi brings down the hammer. He knows which one is going to be one that he's going to hire. But they take their input. They know they're going to wait for that next guy, and they know who they're going to be interviewing. Pat Narduzzi has that conversations with them. Okay? And I think one thing that Pat Narduzzi has done a really good job of is hiring guys that he don't have a position, doesn't have a position coach or an offensive coordinator. He's going to do it right now. The portal opens up, and they're going to be looking at different guys. They've already offered different guys. They've had those conversations with them. So am I concerned about it? No. Do I hope he makes a hire soon? Yes. I think it's important. You're not going to a bowl game. You're not prepping. Your job this week is to go see your current recruits. The class is extremely tight, guys. I mean, this is a very good class. I am beyond happy with what Pitt's done in terms of recruiting this year, a top 30 class, which is huge for Pitt. I love what they've done. I think they're going to do a really good job going forward. But the biggest thing is make sure you solidify your class for the early signing period, December 23rd. Make sure you get that done first, and then go dive right into the portal and figure out what are your needs? What do you need to have? What are you looking for? Whether it's a defensive end, you want a pass rusher. The defensive line was not up to par this year. I think they do have talent there. They're getting better. And look, it's Charlie Partridge. I'm not concerned about the D-line. These guys are here for a reason because Charlie Partridge likes them. I'm not concerned about it. I think they might go after a corner. There's some younger corners on this roster. They'll go after a corner, I think. I think they might add they may add one offensive lineman. They'll probably look at tight end. You got a number of different guys leaving at tight end. They might add a wide receiver. And I think that maybe, unless they don't feel comfortable or a major recruit in terms of quarterback comes open, maybe they go after the portal for QB if there's a major target. I don't think it can't be anybody average. Again, it's got to be a major target for them to go after them. Let's see. How do you think the offense is going to do, and who do you think the quarterback is going to be for next year? As of right now, Brady, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen and what Narduzzi has said, I would say your starting quarterback going into 2024 right now is Nate Yarnell. I think that right now there's probably going to be a quarterback competition between those two. Allow the coordinator to come in, make their decision on what they see, which guy's better. Because guess what? The new OC is going to come in and say, look, none of these guys are my guys. I'm going to pick the guy that's best for the job. Unlike Cignetti, who just, he brought in Phil Dracovic. Again, I was high on him when he came in earlier. Obviously, I didn't know how bad the extent that shoulder surgery was. Certainly was not the same guy. I was wrong about him. Hey, I call that what it is. I was wrong about him. I can certainly put my hand up about that. Completely wrong about him. But in Christian Veyer and Nate Yarnell, does the new OC think he has something there with them? Does he think they're good enough? And if he doesn't, he goes into the portal. If he thinks he does have a good enough roster in terms of the quarterback room, especially with Ty Diffenbach, he's going to compete, and Julian Duggar are going to compete. Maybe he does. But we'll see. I think the biggest thing is just get the OC hire, and you're going to start seeing some things change. But again, I think Borb's going to retire. From everything I've heard is that Borb is going to be next. You're going to hear it later on down the road. You'll be hearing some more changes coming forward because I told you major changes are going to come. It has to happen. 3-9 does that to you. Yes, by the way, guys, if you're watching the show right now with the algorithm, it does help out the channel. Thanks, Jason, for reminding me. Please hit the like button if you have not hit the like button or not subscribed. Guys, again, the channel is great because of you guys. Again, beyond thankful for everything that you guys do. The channel is what it is because of you guys. So again, thank you. Please hit the like button. I really would appreciate it. And again, as always, again, this episode and this live stream show is sponsored by Colonial Beer at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Run by two great pitmen. One I know since I was a young man, a young kid. He's incredible. The options are there. Again, something different tonight. Got a White Claw, soft, I know. Obviously, the fake slide Pilsner. They have the fake slide Pilsner there. It supports Alliance 412, which is the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. That's really important. The Alliance 412, the University of Pittsburgh, the preferred collective. Again, guys, Colonial Beer, a great place. Their selection, whether it's White Claws, whether it's your IPAs, the place is massive in there. I mean, holy hell! I walked in there. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, the selection's so big. I'm like, is there anything you guys don't have? Just tell me where everything is, because it's just so big to where you're just walking around and you're like, damn, there's just so many options here. But Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102, where they sell the fake slide, and it supports Alliance 412, which is the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. So again, back to the comments here. If I can get back to it here. Peninsula, was Willie Korn mentioned? From right now, I did not hear Willie Korn. I did not hear him. It's his ongoing. One guy that I think potentially, to be honest with you, Peninsula, that could be brought into this situation that I did not talk about tonight. It was brought to my attention, obviously, with the hiring of Mike Elko. Kevin Johns. Kevin Johns has done a really good job at Duke in terms of developing Riley Leonard. I think he could be another guy that's on board. This will be really developing. Look, I mentioned 7 names. There are hundreds of applications that they've gotten. They're guys I don't know about yet. I'll find out about it. It's kind of a privilege to get these phone calls from people that reach out to me to tell me. If they allow me to speak on certain aspects of who's really put their name out there, I'll let you guys know. I will certainly never burn someone's trust like that. That's just not right. That's just not how I am. But when I find out more and they say to put their name out there, I certainly will put it out there for sure. Jim, how do you see like involvement in the OC hire to prevent dudes from hiring another Watson or Cignetti? Well, I can tell you this. Jim, Heather is grading not just the football team, but Pat Narduzzi on a regular basis. Her retaining Pat Narduzzi, not firing him, was the right move. I got flack. I got flack about that. It's a fact. You don't fire a guy who just 2 years ago won an ACC title, has won 2 division titles, ranked back-to-back years. It's a young football team. If this happens again, then you have a conversation about maybe moving on. That's a fact. But one bad season should not allow you to just blow up everything with the amount of talent this team has. Heather Lyke will be involved. She has certainly showed her displeasure. I know Joan Gable, who is now, for everybody that doesn't know, is the new chancellor at the University of Pittsburgh. She is very much completely on board with being competitive and all in on football. That's great to see after Pat Gallagher, who is the man. I mean, possibly the greatest chancellor I've seen since I've been alive. Same thing with Heather Lyke. She's done a tremendous job in staying focused, hanging on to Jason, not Jason, Coach Capel. Coach Capel, she's done a good job, and she's certainly going to have a say in what goes on here. She's going to say, look, hey, we need to improve on offense. We need to score points. But also, too, I want you guys to understand, the last time this stuff happened, it came down to, I'll give you a little tidbit here, who might be on the board, too, is Luke Getsy. It came down to, Cignetti and Luke Getsy last time. We obviously took Cignetti, but also, too, we hired Mark Whipple, and you have to give Pat Narduzzi that leg up. You have to be able to give them that solitude that says, hey, he did hire Mark Whipple. Mark Whipple in his last 2 years, really almost got fired after his second year because we were barely scoring. We weren't able to convert in the red zone. We were having issues there. Pat Narduzzi basically on the table and stomped and basically put his hand down and said, look, I want this guy back. I want Pickett back. It's only Mark Whipple that can come back. You got to give him credit for that. I look at it and say Jim Chaney was a good hire. Matt Canada was a good hire. It was one of the most potent offenses. Hell, we scored 72 points against Syracuse in that year. Beat Clemson in that year. We're the only team that scored 40-plus points against Clemson. That was a good hire. Sean Watson was not good. Cignetti was not good, but Mark Whipple was good. I expect him to make a good hire because, one, I want people to understand this. Pitt, even with this bad season, Pitt is in such a different spot in terms of the program because people saw Pitt win an ACC title. And these coaches respect how Deuce does not fire coaches in the middle of the season. These guys got families too. When you respect their families and respect them coaching and allow them, and especially to the offense, Narduzzi allows his offensive coordinators to run their offense, and then he judges them. For me personally, I'm not concerned. I know Heather will have a lot of say in terms of what goes on, but I really do believe that Narduzzi is going to have a lot of say in terms of he's going to pick the right guy because he knows he knows he's an issue here. He knows that he needs to get back on track and that this offense of 50-50 doesn't work anymore. And he saw it the last 2 years. He's going to pick the guy that he knows that can score touchdowns. Yep, brother, I got a beer sponsor. It was incredible. What's up, Peninsula? You've been in my stream before. Yes, he has. Peninsula's a good guy. What's up, Hall of Fame? Doing good, my friend. Hope you're doing well also. How was the holiday? My guy. I love the interaction with everybody in the comments. I love it. Carter Johnson planning to use his last year of eligibility is good news with Epps being done and Gavin's future somewhat still in limbo. Yeah, here's what I can tell you. I know this for 100% a fact. Gavin wants to stay here. 100%. I don't care what other school is offering to Gavin. If it's somewhat competitive, he's going to stay here. Gavin is a die-hard Pitt guy. He has been the ultimate team player. The guy hasn't even gotten a lot of looks this year. The passing game concepts and not having design routes for him, which has been ludicrous. I mean, he was averaging almost 12 yards per catch. I mean, it's just unreal. The guy needs more looks. I just think that, the firing of Frank Signetti was number one. If Frank Signetti would have came back, Gavin was gone 100%, and I don't blame him. But everything I've heard around that situation, he wants to be here. He wants to stay here. Step one, Signetti being let go, that's off. That's already started. The next one now, you're going to start seeing a lot of teams in motion, a lot of coaches come through, a lot of interviews. You're going to start seeing a lot of that stuff. And I think that's why, I think he wants to stay here again. I know he wants to stay here, but I think that he knows that Narduzzi will pick the right guy. I really do. We just need a Lions 412 to get into that conversation with him. We need Pitt fans to support a Lions 412 because if a Lions 412 leaves, guys, Pitt will never compete again. Just telling you, it's a fact. They will never compete again, and they'll go back to the dweller consistently. Not just 1 year slip up. It'll be consistently. So if you can and if you're able to support the Lions 412, obviously the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh, John Pelusi does a great job there. Jeff Goldberg, they do an incredible job. Those are two guys that work there. That whole crew is just incredible. Chris Bickle, incredible. The amount of guys that help out with the Lions 412 has been incredible, but you got to support it. Let's see, Byron. What is the one thing you remember from Pitt's 2023 season when you look back 20 years from now? For me, it's Boo City, PA. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not going to remember that. That's kind of like a blip on the radar. I don't think it was really important. I don't think it was a really big thing, to be quite honest with you. And I know people were upset about that and calling it Boo City, PA, or whatever. That's Pat Narduzzi sticking up for his players. That's why players love playing for Pat Narduzzi. It's a tight-knit team. What I'm going to remember from this year is just what could have been. What could have been. Because this team has so much talent. What if Nate Yarnell starts in the beginning of the year? I personally believe they beat Cincinnati. They beat West Virginia. They maybe beat, I still think they lose to UNC. I still think they lose to Notre Dame. What happens against Florida State? Does the Florida State game change? Because the defense held this in there for 3 quarters. It was a 10-7 game in the third quarter. Does that change? What could have been? That's my thought, is what could have been. You could have had 3 straight years of just dominant success. An ACC title, you won 9 games a year after that. You could have built off of that. But you can't look back at it now. You got to look forward. And all I care about is what Pitt does moving forward, and hopefully they continue to win. That's all I care about. Coaching carousel is nuts, 100%, Jason. It's absolutely wild. All right. Guys, again, if there's another offensive coordinator that you think that we missed on, again, we added Kevin Johns tonight. That was a great conversation because Kevin Johns, obviously, a guy's going to be looking for a job now because Mike Elko going to Texas A&M. Does Kevin Johns go there with him? Obviously, the budget for Texas A&M is going to be a lot different than Duke. Mike Elko is going to do a good job there. But again, guys, to go over a couple of these, again, because I know you guys were waiting for this. Obviously, the first one was obviously Joe Moorhead. We talked about Joe Moorhead, a guy, I think he comes in here and does a hell of a job. I think he would be a home run hire. And personally, I would call the five of these guys home run hires. Joe Moorhead would be a home run hire. He's developed talent. He's utilized talent, and he's been successful everywhere he's been. Even at Mississippi State, when they had those rough years, he still was scoring points at an elite level with lackluster talent at the quarterback position and on the outside at wide receiver. Another guy we talked about, Sean Lewis. Sean Lewis, the Colorado offensive coordinator, who was recently demoted because of the issues they had on offense, which was not his fault. He's certainly not going to be back there because of the horrific decision to really bench him, I guess, for Pat Shurmur. And you see the results just have been horrific with Pat Shurmur calling plays. He's a guy that was a head coach at Kent State. Obviously, was an OC at Syracuse at one point. Develops talent, but also, too, man, he finds ways to score points. Colorado had one of the worst offensive lines in America this year. They were averaging over 35 points a game. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I understand they got Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, but when you can't block, I mean, how can you score points? And he found a way. So that's a guy I would look for, and it would be a home run hire. Another home run hire, Mike Shanahan, the James Madison offensive coordinator and tight end coach. Obviously, a Pitt guy, played here, but he's done a tremendous job at James Madison with Curt Cignetti and obviously the quarterback coach, Tino Sinceri, a guy that is certainly on this list, is interested in the job. Pitt will certainly interview him, in my opinion, but would certainly be a home run hire. Seth Luttrell, currently at Oklahoma right now, was an absolute stud at North Texas. The points he was able to put up, I think he's going to be a really sought after guy. He's a guy that people are going to be looking for because of his concepts. Averaging over 40 points a game at North Texas, beating some FBS opponents. It's kind of shocked he's only an analyst right now at Oklahoma. Obviously, he's a guy that'll be really, really, really successful here, in my opinion, and would be a home run hire. Another home run hire, Brian McClendon, the Georgia wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator. He's incredible talent in terms of recruiting, no matter where he's been, South Carolina, Oregon, Georgia, anywhere in the SEC he's been. He's been an offensive coordinator at South Carolina. He's done a good job. He develops wide receiver talent. He develops talent all the way around the offense. Was an interim head coach when Mark Richt left Georgia, won the bowl game. Players love him. Anybody I've talked to, he's a tremendous asset to that program. He's back down at Georgia now. That team is what it is because of passing concepts, because of him. This guy would be a home run hire for me all day long. Chris Beatty, again, Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver coach, was obviously a wide receiver coach here at Pitt. Anybody I've talked to in terms of players, former players, coaches, they say his offense would be really good here. He's an elite recruiter. Jordan Addison, he recruited Rodney Hammond. The list goes on and on. He did a really good job here for the 2 or 3 seasons he was here. I liked what he did. I think his offense would be really good here. And when other coaches tell me and other players tell me that he would be really good here as an OC, I take their word for it right now. Dino Babers, last one. Former Syracuse head coach. He's been explosive in terms of offense to what he's able to bring, even with the lackluster talent that he had at Syracuse. He developed talent with Schrader and different guys that he's had there. He's been innovative, a guy that can certainly put up points anywhere he's been, even with the lackluster offenses. He's put up points. Their defenses might have been horrible, but he's put up points. And especially Sean Tucker. He was able to get Sean Tucker from there, put him in and then the Syracuse offense. That's been huge as well. And lastly, we talked about tonight also, too, Kevin Johns, since Duke now is out without a head coach. Kevin Johns is another name to look out for. To get to the last of these comments, I like Joe. Yes, Joe is a great coach. Kind of funny, I actually had Joe Brady on this list, too, but now he took over as the offensive coordinator in Buffalo. He's only the quarterback coach before. A lot of people I talked to said he was trying to get back to college football because he had his shot as an OC at Carolina, got fired. But right now, he's doing a good job with Buffalo, and I don't see him going anywhere. So I took him off that list. Having trouble understanding why we didn't see more Derek Davis. Does he still need to develop, or was it just Coach Powell holding him back? I think it was the running back rotation. You had, and it was crowded too. You had Rodney Hammond. You had Sebo Flemister. Who else did you have back there? Daniel Carter got snaps at times. Personally, I want to see more Derek Davis next year. He's an incredible athlete. You watched his tape. He was a 5-star recruit out of Gateway, was a tremendous athlete at LSU. I think now, just with the offense being easier too, and I think more with different guys being back there, I don't see Andre Powell being back. If he does, I hope to see a different terms of running back rotation. Derek Davis is a good guy, good kid, great character, and a tremendous athlete. Utilize that. Utilize it. I want to see more of Derek Davis. He can be really good here. Jeff Lebby gone. Yep, Mississippi State head coach now. Are there any players that may be inclined to go into the portal because of Cignetti being canned? Byron, 0. If anything, firing Cignetti actually helped retain players. I hate to say that. Look, things don't work out. I hate to see, people lose jobs, but firing Cignetti retained players. It didn't hurt anybody at all. And I think the recruits see that as well, and that's why it's currently helped them out as well. Laugh my ass off. Yeah, I'm sorry to break it to people like that, but I hate to say it. Firing Cignetti actually retained players. It was actually an advantage. So it only helps, unfortunately, for Cignetti, but it has certainly helped. Well, guys, we are at an hour and 20 minutes. Again, I apologize for being late. The StreamYard update was nuts. But guys, thank you guys. Again, I always like to do this at the end of the show. Please subscribe down below, guys. Subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing because of you guys. The show is great because of you. And I'm so thankful for all of you that support the channel, for the positive comments online. Again, I saw people sending me snapshots in my DMs from Panther Lair and stuff being said and a whole thread. I appreciate everything that you guys do. The show is what it is because of you guys and the constant positivity, but more importantly, you guys being engaged with Pitt football. I just, again, support Alliance 412, Chris Bickle, John Pelusi and Jeff Goldberg. Those guys are great over there. Support Alliance 412. Guys, again, the show is great because of you. The show is nothing. I can present information to nobody and nobody knows about it. And people I've built with connections with over the years. The show is great because of you. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done. The comments, again, the Sunday conversations are the best because of the conversations that we get to have. I get to connect with you guys. But more importantly, answer the questions that you guys really want to have. I'll have numerous videos out this week in terms of the head coaching carousel, guys getting hired, guys getting fired. But I love talking about Pitt, but more importantly, hearing from you guys and the questions that you guys have so I can actually answer them. So again, guys, beyond thankful for what you guys do, please, guys, down below, subscribe to the channel. Please hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds. Subscribe to this channel. Please like the content, share the video, put it on Twitter, send it to your friends, get their opinions. I always love to know what you guys have, and I love to see the comments from you guys so I can comment back because your input is valuable to me, and your opinions are invaluable to me. But more importantly, also too, I love the conversation in the group chat, in the chat room here. It's so respectful back and forth. That's kind of stuff I care about too, is respectful conversations back and forth. I love to see that. And again, thank you guys for what you do. Again, see you Tuesday. Yeah, Jason, I will be on Tuesday. Again, you the man, JJ. Thank you, Jason. Yes, I'll be on Tuesday. Let's see here. Andy, this was my first time visiting. It was great. Thanks. Thank you for subscribing and following the show. It means a lot. Great show. Thank you. Great show. Appreciate JJ. Appreciate all the insight and intel. Jim, thank you so much. I see you on Twitter. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Share, like, and subscribe. Yes, thank you. Again, share, like, and subscribe. Appreciate everything. And I joke around all the time. Don't be a hoe. Share the show. So that'll be the new motto of the show, guys. Again, share it, please. I appreciate everything. Agree, Will. JJ, refreshing and positive point of view. Mark, appreciate everything you do. You're always here too. Will's always here. I mean, the amount of people here all the time. Russ Bayer is always in here. His son, Ryan Bayer, always incredible. Love him. Great young man. Pack the Pete Tuesday. Yes, if you're in town, go to the Pete. Pitt basketball is back on track because of how great Jeff Capel's been doing. Get back onto it. It's important, guys. Support the basketball team. I will be there on Tuesday as well. I should be. I have tickets. I might get rid of them depending upon what I have to do with work. And obviously, I got to be on Jason's show too, but I should be there for at least some of the game. Countdown to 1,000. Yes, our goal, guys, is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you know someone that follows the show that isn't subscribed, have them subscribe to the show. I would really appreciate it. It helps with the algorithm and gets out positive content, which is very rare, especially rare and with the media we have today and the podcasters we have out there today. Jason's one of those guys who are positive, delivers great work. Coach I over at Fanatic Network, he's incredible as well. But again, follow Jason again at the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. And with obviously Jason and Coach, by far the best. Again, just give them a follow. Guys, again, thank you for everything guys tonight. It's been incredible. Thank you for the incredible comments. And again, as always and forever, Hail to Pitt. I'll see you guys next time.